we're live. I love it. I'm only 1 minute late. Last time we had technical difficulties. We had all of these things, and it took a while for me to go ahead and get started. But we are here, and I am fucking excited. We're here with the live studio audience again. Yay! Yay! I'm trying to teach my cats how to cheer, and it's not going over very well. Live studio audience, Maggles, who is, yes, college friend, roommate, all that stuff. Not roommate, I was going to say dorm mate. It feels like we live in a dorm. It's a high rise. And we all did live in a dorm. There's a group of like 12 of us, actually, that were friends back in college. We met each other there, and we've all stayed in touch, which is really good. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and send this link out to everybody so y'all got it. I'm pretty excited that we're doing this. Last time I was like 8 minutes late to my own stream. I had some technical difficulties, but we got that set up okay, so that is good. Perfect. There we go. All right, so I'm going to put a chat and say, hey. I don't know who's here, so if you are here, feel free to drop a note in the chat and let me know where you are. I'm always amazed that people are watching because it shows me the number, but I don't know where you are or who you are or things like that. So it would be fantastic to know that. So throughout, feel free to drop in. Hey, and we have Ola in there right now. Ola. Hey, hey, oh, wonderful. This is great. Hello from Scott Smith to you, Maggles. And yeah, I know. Scott went to college with us too, which is exciting. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. So for those of you who don't know, Roland, hey! It's like a little virtual party. I love this. Zoom, YouTube Lives, house party, Marco Polo, all of these things are giving me life and keeping me sane. Shady, yay! Hellos all around. I love this. Twanna-tastic, exactly. Twanna amazing. I was on Facebook letting people know that I was going to be doing this, and someone said, Twanna amazing. I was like, I need to add that to my lexicon. And it was Howard! Yes, watching from Brooklyn. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm excited about this, doing the live. We have some people in. And again, drop in, let me know where you are, which is good. If you have any questions about sex or COVID-19, let me know. If you're healthy and you're happy, give me a woo woo. Hello from Chicago. Over there, so it's good. But yeah, so it's live. It's also recorded for on-demand playback later. So at Vegas, baby. So I love reminding people who I am, because people will watch us on YouTube who have no clue who I am, and that's totally fine. Twanna Hines, sex educator, sexual and reproductive health educator, worked for Planned Parenthood, all the repro people, and now own a firm helping people reach out, gender, sexuality, and progressive causes, generally speaking. And I also write, teach, speak, all of these fantastic things about sexual reproductive health and rights. It brings me joy. It literally brings me joy to talk about sex and pleasure, how to do it better in a way that's more fun, more interesting, and to give people a space to feel like we can talk about these things without being judged. So a couple weeks ago, I was like, what if I just did a conversation? Twanna Mama. That was my Yahoo email address, my very first one, I think, Twanna Mama at Yahoo, which is fun. But yeah, so that was the idea. Invite people into my living room, talk about sex and dating and relationships vis-a-vis COVID-19. Because I felt like there weren't a lot of people talking about it. And so when I started this almost a month ago, and the number of articles that have started to come out now, that's great. So we'll talk about some of those, quarantine, bay time, all of that stuff. And I have taped my clothes to myself so my titties won't pop out, which is good. Body tape forever. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So we talked a little bit about who I am, where you are, eating a biscotti out of a box. Super healthy and delicious. I love those. What else do we have? That's great. If you're eating something, let me know what you're eating or drinking. I am drinking delicious white wine from a box. Maryland for ages, I'm right near DC, Maryland, that whole like DMV area, has banned delivery of wine. And so COVID-19, they lifted that. So joining a wine club, doing all of these things, so I don't have to physically go and get wine, which is good because I have asthma. So I'm trying to reduce the amount of time that I spend in crowded spaces like grocery stores. So Excited to have wine delivered directly to my house. Okay, eating. Nobody else is eating or drinking anything? I will drink for you. All right, let's kitten. Can we get Fitzy in here? No, he doesn't want to be picked up. Before this is over, I will try and get one of my cats so you can see them. Rolanda is sitting in a magic fairy grotto wearing faux fur vest and fluffies. Post that picture on Facebook so I get a chance to see what that is. That sounds pretty amazing and what you wear on a regular basis. So I want to see a picture of that. Kitten, 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 please. Join us. Join us. Kitten, join us. No? That's not going to happen. All right. So let's go ahead and start. Sexual health. So several people have been asking informally, like, what should we be doing? What can we do? What can we not do? So if you know people who are interested in that type of stuff, feel free to share this video with them later. So let's break this down in levels. That's the way that I've been describing it to people so far as what you can and cannot do, what you should not do, based on what we know so far. And of course, this stuff always changes on a regular basis. And so this is all, of course, based as of April 14th. Red wine until it's no longer time. Isn't it always time for red wine? I'm reading some of the comments, catching up on that. I had a drink with some rum earlier, looking into an alcohol delivery service named Drizzly. Yes, we looked into Drizzly. Like, people in my building are ordering wine like crazy. We split the recycling out. It's great when you put recycling outside. You just see boxes of wine delivered, bottles, everything. It's great. Drizzly was one that I saw recommended. I haven't tried it. So when you do, let me know what you think. I'm trying, what's it, Wine Inc. Winker, it's W-I-N-C. Starting with that one to try, so we'll see. Just finished eating some white chocolate and drinking a glass of wild cherry Pepsi. I haven't had wild cherry Pepsi. I've had cherry Coke. I don't know how I feel about cherry Pepsi just yet. I'm not sure. Okay, sex. What can you do? What should you not do? What do we know so far? So here's what I've been reading. Based on guidance from in New York's Department of Health, CDC, and others that are kind of giving general guidance on what is appropriate. You, as everyone is saying, are your best sex partner during these times. So masturbation, fantasizing, all of these things are really good to start with. When I write sex columns, I've said we treat sex like it's something that happens to us, like the language we use, like I got laid, or I thought it's this thing that just kind of happens, instead of like really thinking proactively about where are the pieces and places on my body that I haven't touched in a while. How do I like when it feels when I touch this place compared to that place? And different information about masturbation, instead of going to your same go-to, try out different things. Try out different toys. Try out different positions. If you're constantly laying on your back, try sitting up. Good question. I glanced down, I saw it. I will answer that one during this. Again, questions, thoughts, feedback, anything in the comments, and I'll continue to look at those as we go and get to that. Good one, Kathy. Gonna get to it. But yeah, so you are your best sex partner. And so just like if you're having sex with another person, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, it gets routine, it gets boring. And we talk about how we want to mix things up and switch it up a little bit. We should be taking that same kind of thinking to the sex that we have with ourselves. Because sexuality and your sexual health isn't just what you do with other people or do to other people. It's also you and how you feel, separate and apart from any other partner. So remember to mix those up. If you usually are in the shower with the shower head, try in your bed. If you're in your bed, try your couch. Just do different things, keep it mixed up. So that's the first level, right? I like thinking about this as levels. You are your best sex partner. If you go up a level from that, and not up as in better or worse, because sex is sex and sex is good. So if you go up a different level, a different kind of plane from that, right? So you're talking about sex with another person. Ideally, if you are having sex with another person, it is a person who is in your household. So whatever you've been exposed to, they've been exposed to, whatever your hygiene level is, theirs is too, you have some sense of what's actually going on. And so the advice that's out there from the medical community is that if you are going to be having sex with another person, it should be someone who is inside your household. So if you're not cohabiting with your partner, going back and forth to their place, because now you're adding not only changing body fluids, but travel, you're putting a lot of different variables in the equation that may put you at greater risk. And so that's why a lot of the advice is sex with someone who is in your household is the best option that you can do. So what if you're like, okay, so I don't have a current partner right now, or I have a partner, but my partner doesn't live with me, or I want to find a partner because I'm missing just conversations. Stop it, kitten. Stop, kitten, kitten. Gotta stop him. I only do it when I have to, and it makes me feel like a horrible, shitty mom when I do it. But my youngest, Fitzy, is taken to chewing electrical cords when I'm not paying attention. He hates it when he hears my voice, but it's not directed to him. And so he starts doing these things to kill himself, like chewing in electrical cords. And so I have my little handy dandy stuff. Oh, now it's in the guilt. The guilt. He looks at me and I have this guilt. Okay. Hey, guilt, can you see asthma? All these. Okay, more comments there. Great. And I will get to these. Okay. So, excuse me, swallowed my own spit, not COVID. So if you do not have a sexual partner who is living in your home with you, so then you have a couple of other options. We recap this on some of the other episodes, but to succinctly put that all together, virtual. You can do virtual dating, get on some of the dating apps if you aren't already. Some of them, like Bumble, have dating opportunities built directly in it. You can do video chats, you can chat, you can do all of these things directly in the app without downloading yet another app onto your phone. For the ones that don't have video chat built in, you can use Zoom. I did a Zoom date. I talked about that in the previous episode and on my Facebook, which is public, most of my posts, so you can find it there. So you can use those as well, which are a lot of fun for Zoom and things like that. So there are ways to kind of connect with people. WBEZ, which was forwarded to me by one of you wonderful people here. Whenever you find sex stuff in COVID, send it to me. I love reading it all. So WBEZ, which is my hometown public radio station, and I love Chicago forever, Chicago forever. So Chicago Public Radio had a whole entire thing on Quarantine Bay. Vanessa, hello! Good to see you too. So I had a whole entire thing on Quarantine Bay. So it's all of these stories of exactly how people are finding love during these times and they're dating. And so I will drop that link after this is live, probably tomorrow morning. Drop that link to some of these stories so you can see it. So check out that one, which was really good. We talked about Teledildonics, which is using remote control and internet and Wi-Fi enabled sex toys. So you are physically here, your partner is elsewhere, and you can control a sex toy using that. And those are skyrocketing. Sex toy sales are going through the roof. There's a fantastic Danish article about how they're organizing these sex parties and sex toys and all of this fun stuff because that's what brings joy to people. And so that's really cool that they're doing that. So all of these articles and more are there. I will post them in the link so you have those afterwards. Or if you just Google Danish sex party COVID, you'll find it. Or if you Google, someone put, Scott, bless your little heart for putting George Michael lyrics. I was in love with him all of junior high and high school and all like his early faith days and all of his other stuff. I thought it was fantastic. So yes, not everybody does it, but everybody should. I agree. Everybody who wants to should. Yeah, so that's kind of the stuff about sex and what to do to meet up with other people virtually. And so other things that I've been reading about sexual health and COVID-19, New York Times did a package about sex and COVID-19. And so it was several different things. One was about all of the Instagram club experiences that are popping up. So dancers are now offering things like virtual lap dance. And they leave up their link, and so you can give them a tip instead of paying for a service, so that way they skirt some of the laws that are banning prostitution, sex work, sex trafficking, all of the words that they use to describe consenting adults having sexual relationships with each other. And so because that is illegal if there's an exchange of money in certain circumstances, so like if you buy someone dinner, it's not illegal, but if you pay for this particular service, it can be. So to get around all of that, some of them are offering tips, or they're saying, here's just my Venmo or my Cash App link or whatever. You can just pay for it and through that. So New York Times did a really interesting piece about Instagram. And so I highly encourage reading that. And then also, I want to remind everybody, obviously, every generation believes that it's discovered sex and believes that they've discovered a new way to have sex on the internet or do sexual things on the internet. And so, like, if you follow a lot of these things over time, way back to the like VCR, remember those VCR and VHS tapes when VHS and Beta used to like battle it out over who was gonna like be the better tape company, the Be Kind, Rewind days, Blockbuster Video. So those days, there were already people who were onto this idea of like who would be most interested in having an entertainment experience in the privacy of your own home. You can watch whatever you would like, and nobody has to know. And so, what we conventionally call porn or sexual content, that's been around forever. And so, back when there were tapes, that was happening. So, pre-internet days, even the early days of internet, camming and cam girls and cam video and cam models and all of that was very big. It is still here. So all of that's happening. I remember one of the articles in the Times package mentioned OnlyFans. I think they're based in London. And when I'm on TikTok and when I'm on Instagram, I see that site hyped up more than any of the others. And basically, if you were a creator and you have people who are like, I would pay money, I would follow you, I would do whatever to kind of see what you're up to, you can actually follow them. And there's a site called OnlyFans, and you can get people there. So there's a little bit of a mention of that. So you can look into OnlyFans and learn more about that too, which is exciting. One of the things that I haven't, oh wait, you've seen that. Okay, wait, let me go through some of these because I'm seeing a lot of great content here. So Kathy talked about having rum. If you have not told me what you're drinking or eating yet, leave that in the chat. I want to know. Howard, we talked about your white chocolate. Hari Kondabolu, who's an amazing comedian, has a funny bit about white chocolate. Google it. Hari Kondabolu, the dude who did The Problem with Apu, and has a Netflix special and is a million times wonderful ways, all the ways there are possible to be wonderful. He is a huge fan of his work. Know him from New York days, so big shout out to him. But he has a great comedy bit about white chocolate. Listen to that one. Kathy, yes, asthma. Question about how to handle a breakup during COVID. I will get to that one first. Gail King, Vanessa, hello. Plenty of Fish. Oh, remember Plenty of Fish? Oh my gosh, I haven't like been on that site forever. Yes, they were around too. Scott, the HIV and COVID are cousins. Very interesting. You know, really, I will get to the breakups, but I want to talk about HIV and COVID because one of the things that I was talking about with a friend when I was on my walk earlier today, because I do get out of my house for walks away from everybody else. I'm not on the trails anymore because they're crowded with people. So I just walk through the neighborhood. One of the things that I was saying is that I think COVID-19 is going to be one of these national, actually global moments that literally shifts the generation a little bit. We saw this with HIV/AIDS. And so if you look at things like condom usage, people in Gen X who became sexually active and or went through puberty and all of these is HIV and AIDS were like really coming to the national fore, are way more likely to use condoms than say boomers or Gen Z. And so part of that was that when we were coming of age, AIDS was not a manageable disease like asthma or diabetes. It was a death sentence. And so people were really freaked out, and it really changed the way that they had sex with other people, even now. So that if you look at condom usage trends, Gen X is highly likely to use condoms compared to some of the other generations. And so that is very much so because when HIV/AIDS came to the United States, or washed up on our shores, or became something that people were actually covering because those things all happened at different times. Because of that timing, it shifted our generation and the way that we think about sex. Another one of those things that I was talking about in my conversation earlier, my grandmother, God rest her soul, she died the year that I moved to DC, which was very sad. But my grandmother, when I was growing up, I remember she never wasted food, ever. She would pick every single piece of meat off of the bone. She would eat everything, and she would always say over and over and over, I grew up in the Depression when times were hard. I heard her say that so many times. I grew up in the Depression when times were hard. The Depression was a long fucking time ago. My grandma didn't die until very recently. And so having gone through that experience changed her entire way of interacting with food, food waste, and all of that because of that experience. I think COVID-19 is going to be that way. It is going to change us. I do believe that. How, to what extent, for the better, for worse, that's all still to be seen. I mean, we're still very much in the unfolding of it. So I just wanted to say that when we're talking about HIV and COVID. And yes, they're both viruses as well. HIV is a virus, COVID is a virus. One of the easy things I would tell youth when I was leading sexual health and sex ed programs in schools in New York, there's funding from the state of New York to help keep teens safe. So when I was overseeing those initiatives, I would remind people that there are three ways in which different sexually transmitted infections could be in your body. It could be a parasite, it could be a bacteria, or it could be a virus. So things like chlamydia, gonorrhea, those are bacteria. So you take antibiotics and that takes it under control. You get it, you take something, you don't have it anymore. Viruses, on the other hand, antibiotics don't do anything for viruses. And so the viruses, the easy way to remember is the four H's, right? So you've got herpes, HPV, you've got did I say? Herpes and HIV. And so you want to think of like the four H's for viruses. And we'll just call him 45 because I have yet to use his title and his name together. And we're almost 4 years in. But the orange one was talking about antibiotics and it being helpful for COVID or something to the effect of like antibiotics. They used to be strong. It's kind of across kind of like a rambling thing about antibiotics and COVID. And I was like, if I know that antibiotics aren't good for viruses, the person coordinating the national efforts during a pandemic sure as shit needs to know that too. And so that was unsettling, as many things can be in these times. But yeah, so COVID and HIV being cousins in a lot of ways, yes. Have you seen the articles about prostitution at truck stops during COVID? Yes, there's actually a really good, and so many things to unpack on that one. One, sex work, not prostitution, just like we use sexually transmitted infections instead of sexually transmitted disease. Disease has stigma, and no one says flu disease, right? And so why are we calling sexually transmitted things diseases? Because stigma. We don't like sex in this country in a lot of ways, and we have very sex negative views about it, and so we use words like disease. And so same with sex work. There's a move to really make sure we call it sex work so that we understand sex work is work, and workers deserve protections in their work environment and when they're in the course of doing their actual work. So if you hear me say sex work, or if you see people writing about sex work and you're like, what's prostitution, what's sex work, why are they not using these different terms? That's a little bit of kind of the context on that. Sex work is work, and you'll see that phrase. And so making sure that workers have protections. You may or may not know this, but a lot of the stimulus package things and a lot of the public benefits that go out have obscenity kind of clauses in it. And so if you're involved in a business that's they just deem like too sexy or something like that or whatever, you are not eligible. And so like I have yet to see anybody cover what's the effect on that on like say sex toy stores where they're doing really well right now. But like if there's a sex related industry and they're not eligible to get recovery funds for that because we don't like sex and sex can be a very sex negative culture that we're living in, how is that affecting them? Things like PayPal and other processing have held up payments for things like people trying to do swipe at farmers market for sex things. They're like, you're selling sex, because a lot of the laws on that can be very tricky. So have you seen that? So yes, I did see articles about a lot of the sex work at truck stops during COVID-19. And there's a really good documentary. I think it's coming out of Germany, if I remember correctly. And it is a woman that talks about growing up in Germany and seeing these truck stops. And they actually have like little trailers, on the side of the road or whatever. And then people would go in and they'd receive their services and then they'd leave. And so as she got older, she talks about like coming of age and realizing what people were actually doing on the side of that and her thinking about how she felt about it. And then not only that, seeing how things shifted over time. Because when she was a little girl, she says everyone was German, they spoke German, and these were workers who were there. And now it's mostly migrants, some who don't speak the language and or don't know their rights in that country and are more likely to be exploited. And so I am really excited about seeing that documentary, and it's specifically about truck stops and about it over time. So I think that'll be interesting. Someone asked, are you still in DC? Yes, I am. I have moved a shit ton. For those of you who know me, I've lived a lot of fucking places. I was in LA. I lived in Chicago and Florida, London, Canterbury, The Hague, Amsterdam, New York City, Brooklyn, Jersey, Mississippi, Bloomington, Illinois, Pontiac. I've lived in a lot of places. And I have been physically in the same place here in DC. October will mark 7 years. And that means this is the longest that I will have lived in one place in my life. When I was in New York for almost 8 years, I had, I think, 7 or 8 different apartments. I was constantly moving, which is a very New York thing. And I gotta say, I just feel like I live a much more healthier existence and more stable. And just like I know all the people who own the businesses in my neighborhood. I've talked to them about the effect of their business that COVID-19 is having on it. I know who's sleeping with who in my building that I live in and in my neighborhood. I just feel like I have an actual community, so I like it. So yes, I'm still here. I've been here 7 years as of October coming up, and I don't have any plans to leave right now. So we'll just see. I take every day as it comes. I didn't plan on living here at all. I sure shit didn't plan on staying here for 7 years. I might be here till I die. I might be here 4 more years. Who knows? I'm happy. And I'm happy for that. Happy, healthy, and safe. What else is this? Are you still SBA, Small Business Association? Yes, the Small Business Association is banning lascivious activities and things like that. I think that's what that is. Leslie says, yay, yay, yes, I'm staying. And a fellow Silver Spring and DMV person is there too. So yeah, so that's that. We're almost out of time. Dating breakup. How to handle a breakup during COVID-19. 1, lean into your squad. I mean, we know from the biology part of things, people who do more of the physical sciences, that living things that are not touched live shorter lifespans than things that are touched. So we as human mammal living things need physical touch. And we're living in a time right now where we can't actually have that from people. And not only can't have it, but this feeling that if you do, it might kill you, which is a terrifying and frustrating and very inhumane way for all of us to live in a lot of ways. And so if you happen to be going through a breakup during this time or know someone who is, I would say do everything that you can to surround yourself with your people. Maybe Zoom thing isn't it. I'm hearing a lot of people feeling burned out on Zoom. They're like, I'm in Zoom work meetings all fucking day, and then I have happy hours and I have this. I was in 5 Zooms. So I'm hearing a lot more of that now compared to, say, a week or 2 ago when people were just so happy it was connecting them. Now there's a much more people are concerned about privacy, as they should be, generally speaking, for data and internet technologies. Always make sure you're safeguarding your shit. And then also just like tired of being kind of on. So whether that's a phone call, whether that's texting, whatever you need to do. Also, remember, you can go for walks in a lot of these states that don't have complete shelter in place. And so I've seen beautiful TikToks of people walking by their neighbors and shouting from way across the way that they love them, they miss them, they care about them. So do whatever you need to do and are able to do to surround yourself with love. Reach out to people. I'm horrible when I'm really stressed and really having a hard time. That's when people just stop hearing from me, because I just kind of withdraw within myself. And I know I'm not supposed to do that. So I'm telling you to do what I say, not what I do. But reach out to your squad for sure and talk to people. Let them know that you're going through it, and tell people what you need. That's that. Sex is marriage. Sex is marriage. I'd like to debate. I'd like to debate you too, because I don't know what you mean. Sex in marriage, sex within marriage, sex outside of marriage, sex altogether. I don't know. Let me know. Comment again and let me know. It is 9:30. I can't believe we blew through all of that so quickly. One thing that I do want to say about a lot of the virtual stuff that I remembered. Something to keep on your radar. If you are not aware of SESTA, SESTA, or FOSTA, FOSTA, look those up. These are bipartisan anti-sex trafficking bills. We should all be against human trafficking. Everybody should be. Why would you not? But some of these bills treat sex work, consensual sex work, as human trafficking and sex trafficking, and put those in the same thing. And I often say, if we can understand the difference between sex and rape, we should be able to understand the difference between sex work, consensual, and human trafficking, non-consensual. And so some of these bills put that stuff together, and we have yet to see what the implications of that are going to be. There's also another bill that's making its way through. I think it's co-sponsored by Feinstein, so on the left, and Lindsey Graham on the right. So these bills tend to be bipartisan because everyone should be against human trafficking. But again, look that up. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it is. The new one is called Earn It, Earn space It, and it is specifically about minors. And actually, to do this YouTube, to even do it, one of the things, it blocks me from going live until I say, is this intended for a youth audience or is this not? You've got to do that for legal reasons with YouTube. You have to say yes or no. And I always just say no. I think 17-year-olds are having sex. They obviously are. But because I'm not completely sure on what's going on with all these bills and whatever, just to cover my own fucking ass, I just say, no, it's not for kids. Keep it 18 over and deal with all that stuff later. So look up SESTA, look up FOSTA, look up Earn It. And the reason why these things are important, because as people start to move to virtual things and do things like accept tips for virtual lap dances or allow people to do private room or do all of these kinds of things personally, you should also know about Rent Boy, that website rentboy.com. The guy was sentenced to 6 years in federal prison for operating a website that allowed people to meet up and things like that. So if you're participating in something like that, or if you're operating, these club events or things like that, make sure you read up on what the laws about this actually are, because people are getting snared up in that without really knowing it, because they're very ambiguously worded to talk about the promotion of prostitution. So if your roommate is doing something and you're allowing them to pay half of the rent, you can get snared up as promoting it because you're sheltering them. And so there's been a lot of pushback in the sex positive community against these kinds of bills. Not because we want human trafficking, because again, nobody does, but it's making sure that you're not snaring in people who have no interest in or desire to participate in human trafficking and couldn't at all conceive that they would get snared up in that. So that's something else to keep for your radar. Alrighty, so we're over time by 3 minutes. Let me quickly look and make sure when things get back to normal, how long do you think it'll, okay, let me read that slower. I tend to talk very fast. I get excited and very, let me slow that down and read this comment for you, my lovely people. And I can kiss my hands because I've been washing them like a motherfucker. They're so dried out. Oh my God, I wash my hands so much. Okay. When things get back to, you shouldn't be kissing your hands. I did that, but I'm just saying, I am washing my hands. Okay. When things get back to normal, how long do you think it will take for people to go out on dates in social places again? Question 1. Question 2. Do you think they'll be hesitant about getting intimate? And so they're doing crypto to stop Earn It. Yes. So a lot of things there. So 1, how long do I think it'll take for people to go back? Can't fucking say. I don't even know when I'll be able to leave my house again. I'm on week 5 of social distancing, of physical distancing. So we don't even know when this is going to end. And so depending on how long this is, like, are we looking at 3 more weeks? Are we looking at 3 more months? Nobody can answer that. Not even Fauci can answer that for sure for right now. So given that we're in such a, we don't know what's going on, period, I can't really answer that because information is evolving. We're still learning about the virus. Latest thing from CDC, if you didn't catch this one, they're telling people to avoid elevators. If you've got more than if you're not sharing a household with someone, you shouldn't be in an elevator with other people because they don't have windows. It's an enclosed space. And so and we know that COVID can hang in the air for a while. So we're learning all these things. And so I can't even begin to pretend that I know how long it's going to take us to get back to normal after all of this happens. I do think, as I said about my grandmother with the Great Depression, and then also with Gen X using condoms because of HIV/AIDS, I do think that it'll change the way that we date. How? I'm not sure, but I absolutely think that there will be a kind of before and after COVID-19. So that was the first one about how long. I don't know. Do you think they'll be hesitant about getting intimate? Probably. I mean, I don't know exactly. I know I will be. I think I'll just, especially immediately after, be a little bit more hesitant about just hooking up with some random hot British dude that I met at No Kisses Bar or something like that. Not that happened. I'm just saying, if that were, I'd be more hesitant about doing something like that. So there we go. All right. Thank you all so much. This makes me so happy to have these kinds of chats. Studio audience. Woo! Yeah, goodbye from the studio audience. Yay! Thank you. Love you all. And we should do this again next Tuesday, every Tuesday, 9 p.m. It's literally just me, the wonderful, beautiful audience, woo-woo, audience members, the cats, Maggles. Hopefully, I tried to get one of, you know what? Stay here for 1 second. I'm going to try and get one of the cats in. Okay. Catsby. 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 Come. Come, kitten. Come, kitten. Come. Oh, look at. Oh, she's not happy. Okay. She's like, what in the actual fuck put me down? She was not happy. Anyway, you got to see her at the very least. All right, goodbye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night. Until next Tuesday, find me online. Subscribe if you want to update for this. I always try and remind people about these or send emails or put a Facebook thing or whatever. Subscribing is the easiest way because it gives you an update so then you know. So you've got that. And I will see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m. All right, goodbye, wonderful people. Goodbye. Bye. Yay, thank you, and thank you all. Bye.